1998. Sega releases the Dreamcast to the public as the first 6th generation home console. As a follow-up to the Saturn, the Dreamcast was designed to reduce costs with off-the-shelf components. It was the first console to include a built-in modem for internet access and online play. Its best-selling game, Sonic Adventure, the first 3D game in Sega's Sonic the Hedgehog series, would go on to sell 2.5 million copies. Despite Sonic's commercial success, the Dreamcast itself began to decline as early as 2 years later with the growing talk around the release of the PS2. To make matters worse, the Adventure team was downsized from a team of 120 to just 11, sent to America and told, go make Adventure 2.
They have a lot banking on the Dreamcast. Again, they're a leap. It's sort of a leap in video game technology, and Sega's going to use this to make a comeback into the marketplace.
At this point, Sega had a major problem. Their brand new console wasn't holding its own in the face of competition from the next editions of the 6th gen consoles, and they needed to make a new game comparable in scope and success as the first Adventure. In an interview, the director of the Adventure games, Takashi Iizuka, said, "Part of what we had to resolve was, how the fuck are we supposed to make the same game with less people?" With only a year and a half for development, the Adventure team had to make the impossible possible. The funny thing about this game is that it's either really fun or really shit. As soon as you start the game, you gotta blow this thing up, run from the truck, swing from the vine, grind the rail, get all the coins, shoot off the dash pad, grab the power up, pull the lever, hover in the air, blow up the base, race against the clock, loop the loop, hula hoop, jump to the other side, collect the emerald, hide from this thing, then jump on the rocket before... That was all one level. Now, compare all of that to watching paint dry on the Eggman levels. The Tails and Eggman levels literally just play themselves. All you're doing is just spinning in a circle and mashing your face into the controller. And then... The space levels at least had some cool parts though, to be fair. There's this part where you get to ride on a roller coaster, then you're free falling in space. There's some zero gravity parts, but other than that, this shit gets old like really fast. On the other hand, the Knuckles and Rouge levels are a really nice contrast to the fast-paced Sonic and Shadow levels, and they're a lot more in depth. You always have to keep track of what you're doing. You'll go into a room that looks familiar and say, oh, I've already been here before. Or you're right on top of the emerald and you drill into the wall 20 million times so you can hit the pixel-perfect spot that it's in. They both can glide through the air, punch and kick enemies, climb walls, dig in the walls, dig into the floor. There's this one enemy that you can't kill, so you have to run and hide in the corner like a little bitch. There's a level where you only have 5 minutes to find all 3 pieces of the emerald. The space levels force you to navigate different gravities on different planets, and you can actually control the fucking camera. The camera in this game is beyond ass.
Bro, turn the fucking camera. I can't see the little thing.
Sometimes you get stuck in a corner and you just have to wait for the camera to manually turn so you can actually see what the fuck you're doing. Then there's times where the camera doesn't even fucking move at all.
Bro, what am I looking at?
And in most levels, you can't even control the camera manually. At least in the Knuckles and Rouge levels you can, but even then it's bound to the L and R buttons and it's got this really slow pan in either direction. The camera in this game is so shit that even the AI gets confused by it.
I have no choice but to fight now.
The story is a story. The entire time, Shadow is trying to figure out who and what he is as he keeps revisiting his memories from the past. But they only spent like one scene talking about it. Eggman is trying to blow up the world with a refurbished Death Star that he inherited from his grandpa after the war. Sonic and Knuckles seem like the only ones trying to stop him because they're the only ones actually looking for the emeralds. But Sonic gets thrown in jail and then he gets shot off into space. And then there's Tails and Amy.
The first Bernoulli spherical space colony, called ARC. It's a secret military base that is reinforced and super strong. This place was shut down about 50 years ago because of a terrible accident.
Oh, Sonic! I thought I'd never see you again. I'm so glad you made
What
it.
the fuck?
You're not Sonic. Who are you?
The character models in this game look so awkward. Eggman moves like he's gotta permanently take a dump.
Bro, why does he run like that?
Sometimes characters' mouths just get stuck open.
Bro!
And then for whatever reason, everybody's always cutting each other off mid-sentence.
So that's Dr. Eggman.
For something.
Huh? Where did he go
Looks
now?
like he bailed.
But what are you doing here on this
I'm the
island?
one who should be asking that question.
The lead composer for the first Sonic adventure, Jun Sinaway, wanted the soundtrack to stand out, rather than merely serve as background music. He wasn't entirely satisfied with the first adventure soundtrack because he felt like some of the tracks didn't fit with the different tones and themes of the game. So, with Adventure 2, he and the rest of the music team decided to make a pact to write songs that promoted the game's speed and situations while trying to keep the best tempo for the specific stage. The Sonic and Shadow levels all have these really high tempo, upbeat songs where your pacing is led mostly by the beat of the percussion instruments. But my favorite are the Knuckles and Rouge levels. These songs are a lot slower paced to match the slower nature of these levels. There's a heavier emphasis on the wind instruments, especially in the Rouge levels. This is the type of shit you would want to hear in a spy movie, which is funny because that's exactly what she is. One of her songs is literally called I'm a Spy. There's this one Knuckles song where he's pretending to have a conversation with Sonic.
Sonic, what are you doing here? I heard you on a quest for the Master Emerald. You know me and you don't get along. I don't think that's the point right now, Knuckles.
The thing that makes me laugh about all the Knuckles songs is that in the beginning they all start off by him saying,
This is Knuckles. This is Knuckles. This is your boy Knuckles. You know me, the fighting freak Knuckles. It's your main man Knuckles.
and then he says whatever stage he's in.
And we're Meteor Herd.
And then there's this one song that just goes. Sadly, after the Dreamcast, Sega announced it was transitioning to become a third-party developer. And that transition made Sonic Adventure 2 one of the last major Dreamcast exclusives, and it also made it the final Sonic game for a Sega console. This game wasn't good enough to be able to save the Dreamcast, or solve any of the problems that was going on with Sega at the time. But despite its flaws, it was the first Sonic game to introduce and popularize Shadow as a character. And it was one of the most important Sonic games that was responsible for introducing the franchise to a wider audience with its GameCube port. In its first week, it was the #1 selling game on the GameCube, selling 5 times more than the #2 title and as much as the next 12 titles combined. For me, this definitely wasn't a great game, but at the same time, it's not a terrible game either. It was just a really fun one.
What the fuck is this?